chose this story, Night and Day, because this is what we read on Friday, so you guys should be familiar with it. Again, since it is a new thing we're trying, let's go ahead and start with something that we already know. I'm going to be reading Night and Day, asking you a few questions, and then giving you a tiny little task to try at home. It should be pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Night and Day is a nonfiction text written by Hilary Maybaum. We are going to be comparing day and night. So let's start with some words to think about. I am not going to spend too much time on them. I'm going to go over them briefly. Words to think about: Earth. It's not just a sight word, it is a planet that we live on. Earth is special because it has water and life. It says here, Earth has land, water, and clouds. Beautiful picture. Then we have this word also, moon. Here it is. If you see the little clicker or the mouse. It says here, on some nights the moon looks like a bright circle, but we also talk about how sometimes it looks like a banana, and that is why, because the moon has different phases and it changes daily. This is the word planet. This is a beautiful picture of the planet where we live on, which is Earth. Earth is the planet on which we live. There are 8 planets in our solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Hopefully you were able to sing along with me. Moving up here, we have the word rotate. This is something that we haven't really talked about. We have talked about how Earth orbits around the sun, so it goes around. But as it's orbiting around the sun, it's also spinning or rotating. That is why we have day and night. It says here this toy can rotate or spin. It's going round, 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 round. We have the word stars. Stars look like tiny points of light in the sky. And the most important star, I would say, is the sun. The sun is a dying star. That is why it gives off so much heat and light, and it's very important for us. And here it is again, sun. We get light from the sun. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over this quickly. Introduction. Look up at the sky. What do you see? If the sky is dark, then it is night. If the sky is bright, then it is day. Have you ever wondered why we have night and day? You will find out as you read this book. Night, day. Chapter 1. What can we see in the night sky? What can we see in the sky at night? We often see the moon at night. The moon is a round, rocky object that moves around Earth. As the moon travels around Earth, the moon appears in different places in the sky. The moon seems to change shape each night. And the captions here say, moon walks. 12 astronauts walked on the surface of the moon from 1969 to 1972, the most famous being the astronaut named Neil Armstrong. He was the first one to step down. This says here, we can use a telescope, vocabulary word from last week, to look more closely at the moon. That's pretty awesome. On a clear night, we may see stars in the sky. Stars are very hot. Stars glow because they make their own light. Stars seem small because they are very far away. Stars are much bigger than Earth. Many stars fill the sky. We cannot easily count the stars. To give you a second to look at the captions. Chapter 2, what can we see in the sky during the night? We often see the sun during the day. The sun is the nearest star to Earth. Still, the sun is very far away. The sun is much bigger than Earth. Sometimes we see the moon in the sky during the night. I'm going to read that again. Sometimes we see the moon in the sky during the day. The moon does not make its own light. The moon reflects light from the sun. We get light and warmth from the sun, and we do not get light and warmth from the moon, so that is something different. Chapter 3, why do we have day and night? I am not reading correctly today, friends. Sorry. Chapter 3, why do we have night and day? Like all planets, Earth rotates or spins. Have you ever been on a merry-go-round? A merry-go-round rotates. That is a merry-go-round here. Earth rotates once each day. When the part of Earth that we live on faces the sun, we have day. When the part of Earth that we live on faces away from the sun, we have night. We have night and day because Earth rotates. Sun, you see the sun is hitting the Earth here, so it is day. But on this side of the planet, it is night. When it spins around, that changes. And it takes about 24 hours for it to spin around. Oops, I went a little too far. So the conclusion says, we often see the moon and stars in the night. We often see the moon and stars in the sky at night. We often see the sun in the sky during the day. Earth rotates, giving us night and day. Night. The sky is dark. We may see the moon. We may see stars. Day. The sky is bright. We often see the sun. We may see the moon. This would be great. It would be great right here to do a double bubble comparing the night and the day. But I have a different activity for you guys. So let me go ahead and pull that up. I have about 2 minutes. So we are reviewing Unit 8, which is Why the Sun and Moon Capture Our Imagination. And our focus is going to be retelling nonfiction text. Nonfiction is when you have real information given to you, so facts about something that you can learn about. The author usually does it to teach you about a subject. In this case, is to teach you about the differences between night and day. So I want you to work with your family on answering these following questions. So I'll leave it here so that you guys can see. It says, what is the main idea? What are 2 or 3 facts you've learned? You can use the sentence frame, which is the main idea of this story was, and I kind of mentioned it. I'll give you a hint. It has the word difference. And then I also want you to write or talk about 2 things you've learned. I'll also highlight those for you. So it says here really quickly, friends, does this remind you of anything? Share your personal connection. Hopefully you share this with your family, brother, sister, even yourself aloud or in writing. My personal connection that I'm going to share is that this reminds me of the story about a comet. We read that last week. A comet is usually visible at night because at night the sky is dark. So that's what I was thinking about as I read the story. It is important to think about what texts or stories remind you of. This is called making text connections. You can make text connections to books, the world, or personal connections. See you soon, friends. Miss you and behave.